welcome to the Lynn Community Association's School Committee Forum. We are happy to have everyone here tonight. We think that it's so important for our citizens to get to know all of the candidates, and that's why we do these forums. And I first would like to recognize the city officials who are in the audience. First and foremost, our mayor, Judith Flanagan Kennedy. I'm sorry, Diana Chakoutis, who is a candidate for Ward 5 Councilor. Seth Album, who is a candidate for Ward 5 Councilor. Dan Cahill, a candidate for Councilor at Large. Ron Mendez, a candidate for Ward 3 Councilor. Are there any other candidates or officials that I missed other than up here? I saw a finger pointing, but I didn't see where it's pointed. If you're a candidate or an official and I didn't recognize you, please raise your hand. Okay. One thing that has been suggested tonight that we have not done in the past and we'll probably never do again, but I like to be funny sometimes, with the mother of all candidates, please raise your hand. Woo-hoo! There's one. Introducing our candidates in just a moment. We also have some press people here with us tonight, and if I don't have you listed, I also would like to know who you are. We have Franklin Duncan with El Mundo. We have Juan Gonzalez with Without Borders. Stephanie with Lynn Can. Not least, Seth Album. Are there any other press members I've missed? Okay. Thank you. Thank you for being here and for recording this and making videos available on LynnCam on an ongoing basis as well as on Seth's website, which we've been
LynnHappens.com.
Our board members who are here tonight, we have Duncan Maitland, Douglas Maitland, Tyrone Hawkins, Stephen Dwyer, and we also have one board member here tonight who is actually sitting at this front table. And that is Charlie Gallo. And I do just want to say at this time that he has had nothing to do with planning or implementation or the decisions on questions, anything to do with any of the debates whatsoever, because he has just recused himself from that. So that's just for your information. Are there other board members that I can't see with my reading glasses? Okay, thank you. Can't even see this with my reading glasses. If there is anyone here tonight who is not yet registered to vote or has a neighbor not yet registered to vote, we have voter registration forms out front. We encourage you to either fill it out tonight and we'll get it to City Hall for you, or take it with you and get whoever you know who is not registered to register. We are having a blood drive on Saturday. Yahoo! Everybody ready to get blood? We need you. Summertime is very critical for blood supplies. Red Cross gets very low in the summer because people travel and they take vacations and they're not necessarily thinking about giving blood. But knowing what happened in April in Boston, we cannot afford for those supplies to get low. So just please come and roll up your sleeves and give a little blood. You don't know, you may be saving your own mother or brother or sister or yourself. You have a list of upcoming events and the little brochures that we gave out. The next debates we have coming up, I'll mention at the end of the program again. I want to thank Cleo Hereford here for coming tonight and studying all the questions that were submitted and choosing them. I have not even seen the ones that she chose from the list. Again, thanks to the audience. And at this point, I will ask Cleo to read the debate rule, and then she can begin asking the questions. We do have a wireless microphone over here that you guys can pass back and forth. Thank you.
The debate rules are as follows. Each candidate will be allowed a two-minute introduction. Candidates will present in alphabetical order. A yellow flag will be displayed by the timekeeper 15 seconds before time is up. A red flag will be displayed when time is finished. I will ask questions which have been submitted anonymously by voters in the community. A name of the person who is to answer first will be drawn from a pool of candidate names. The question will then pass to the person's left until each person has had an opportunity to respond. Each candidate will have up to 90 seconds to answer the question accordingly. Yellow, red flag time, keeping will apply. If any candidate makes a remark which is directed toward another specific candidate, that candidate will be allowed 45 seconds to respond or rebut. Yellow, red flag time, keeping will apply. Following approximately 75 minutes of question and answer, each candidate in reverse alphabetical order will be allowed an additional 1.5 minutes to make closing statements. Again, yellow, red flag time, keeping will apply. Candidates who do not respect the timekeeping rules may be disqualified from participating in the remainder of the debate.
Hear that?
We will begin our introductions with Maria Carrasco.
It's working now? Okay. Good evening. My name is Maria Carrasco, and I have to say that I came to the city of Lynn in 1980s. I have 3 children who all attended public school in Lynn, and graduated also. One of my grandsons graduated from English high school. So I have 6 grandchildren, but the oldest one, 4 years ago, graduated from English high school. I have to say that some people might say, why you're running for re-election for the school committee is because education is my passion. I was a teacher back in my native country, Dominican Republic. So when I came here, I was not able to pursue the same occupation due to the fact that my English was not too good. So I went to North Shore Community College. I improved my English. I got an associate degree over there. But really, I believe that we need to bring different voices in the community. And I represent the grassroots person, but overall, I think that my passion for education may be to understand what parents talking about, teachers and students. Most of the time, when you see my vote, it's always about the students. It's always how it's going to affect our students. So I believe that my voice is the voices of parents, teachers, and overall the students. I ask you, please, to vote for me, and give it one of your 6 votes. We have up to September 17. But I really want to continue in that field because this city has a higher population of students. The minority of the students are the majority. But overall, it's because I care about education. I want to fight for equal and fair education for everybody. Thank you.
My name is Donica Nicola, and I presently sit on the Lynn School Committee. I'm married, my husband Harry, and I have 4 children. All of them attended public school here in Lynn. All 4 graduated from Lynn Classical High School, and I'm the grandparent of 3 children. I'm also had the privilege of being a former mom to 19 foster kids, and almost all of them were in the Lynn public school system when I had them. So I know the system well, and I'm passionate about it. I loved having my kids in the Lynn public school system. I'm proud of the system. I am retired from AT&T, and I worked there actually for 23 years. I retired at the age of 40, stayed at home, took care of all my kids I had, and got a chance to do foster care. And that's when I became really active in the schools, and became very active in the PTAs. And my kids went to Lincoln Thompson, Breed, and Classical, and I was lucky enough to be president of their PTAs, so got to know a lot of issues, especially, the National PTA talks about don't use parents as cookie bakers, use them to make changes and differences in the schools. And that's how I was trained in the PTA. So I used to love to attend school committee meetings, and I would be very discouraged, but I'd always go around trying to talk other people into running for school committee. If I saw somebody started having a conversation, they were passionate about the schools, I said, why don't you run for school committee? I never really wanted to run, but in the end, one day somebody challenged me and said, why don't you run? So I decided, from that, I'm happy about the way that things were going. This is what I need to do. So I did run. I presently work 2 jobs, and would love to have you see me to the school committee again.
Good evening.
Before we continue, we'd just like to mention that John Ford couldn't be here tonight due to a family emergency.
Thank you. And good evening, everyone. I want to first thank the Lynn Community Association and Mary Trahan for hosting this forum. Thank Cleo, our moderator, and also mention and thank her for the work she does in her online blog. And thank you to the congregation, Ahabat Shalom, for having us tonight. Most importantly, I want to thank each and every one of you who took the time to be here. Whether you're here learning about the candidates or working for a candidate, thank you for being here. My name is Charlie Gallo. I'm the newest member of the school committee. I've been serving since 2012, and since then I've been trying to work my hardest for our students and for our schools. I first ran for the school committee because education is so important to me, and I wanted to work to better education here in Lynn. I'm a lifelong Lynn resident. My family's lived in Lynn for 4 generations, and I was the first in my family to graduate from college. I went to law school after that at night and graduated, became an attorney, but returned to the classroom, and as a second job, began teaching at North Shore Community College, which I still do now. Some of the initiatives that I've been working on include grant funding to try to help bring more resources to our students in our schools, career development programs in our high schools, safety programs in our elementary schools in partnership with the police and fire departments, youth engagement programs and the Lynn Youth Council Initiative, partnerships with businesses and nonprofits, establishment of the Lynn Community Enrichment Program, which offers recreational and educational courses at Lynn Tech at night for Lynners of all ages, putting school committee members online, and also educator appreciation. One of the things that makes my candidacy a little unique is my age. I was elected in my 20s. I turned 30 a couple of weeks ago. And over the past couple of decades, young people have been moving out of the city. So what I've tried to do is provide some leadership to reverse that trend, let young people know especially that they should be and can give back to the city, and that's important for the future of our city. I'm running for a second term because I want to continue working hard, and I respectfully ask for one of your 6 votes. Thank you.
My name is Lorraine Gately, and I'm running for the school committee because I had the unique experience of being a student in Lynn my whole life. Then I was a teacher in Lynn for most of the 33 years that I taught, and it was in the area of science. Then I was a lead teacher in Pickering Middle School for science. And now I'd like to try the school committee because I recently retired and I just can't walk away from these kids in the city of Lynn. I just love them. I would at this time like to thank Mary and I'd also like to thank you, Cleo, and the Lynn Community Association for sponsoring tonight's forum. When I got to the point where I was going to retire, I had to make a decision. What am I going to do with my free time? What am I going to do with all the time that I have off? I decided that I want to be a voice for all the people of Lynn. I want to be the voice for your concerns in the public schools. My niece is here. She has 3 daughters in Lynn Public Schools. My sister Pat was a nurse in the Lynn Public Schools. We have been dedicated for, I don't know, decades. I mean, my great aunt was the principal of Linwood Schools. And education has just been in my family, and service to the public has always been in my best interest for you. So things that I would like to see after I've done much research is I would like to see new schools, because I'm thrilled that after 40 or 50 years, they finally moved the power lines away from the harbor. So now we're going to have the opportunity to build up the waterfront, bring in new young people to raise their families, and hopefully we'll have new schools for them to go into, and we are a proud community, and I just love Lynn, Massachusetts.
Hi, my name is Melissa Romanello, and only because Charlie brings it up, I'm going to tell you I'm 31. I've lived in Lynn for 6 years, and I currently work as a family support specialist. I provide support and training for low-income families that have kids with special needs like mental health issues. This is a role that allows me to access a very diverse group of parents, day in and day out. So I hear firsthand what concerns our parents when it comes to education of their children. I'd rather not reiterate what you guys can read in my bio. It's in these great pamphlets that they've handed out. Instead, I'd like to tell you why I'm running for school committee. I'm running because I recognize the need for change. I want to be the voice for change. I want to be the voice for parents of children who attend the Lynn Public Schools. I have direct experience in the Lynn Public Schools because my 3 children are Lynn Public School kids. My 2 oldest are products of the Lynn Public School, and my youngest is going to be in the class of 2023. He currently attends Druids. I actually brought my oldest with me tonight. Right, stand up, say hi. He wanted to come with me because he helped me advocate at the city council for funds for a support group that we participate in. You can sit down. That's not the only reason I'm running. As a parent of 3 kids in the Lynn Public Schools, over the past 4 years, I've been going to school committee meetings. And time after time, I've been really frustrated with the school committee because I've seen them try very, very hard to fight and to advocate what's in the best interest of our kids. And time again, they're not able to because they're the losing end of a 3-4 vote. I want to be their 4th vote. I want to be the voice of the parents in Lynn. I want to make sure that parents have a voice in education and that their children and them are heard and listened to. I want parents to know that I want them to know and feel that they matter and their contributions are welcomed and appreciated. Thank you.
Hey everyone, thanks for coming out tonight.
Hey, Rick.
Thank you for coming out tonight. That wasn't on mic. And I'd like to thank the LCA, Cleo Harraford, for moderating tonight. Lynn Cam, Seth Album, as always, from Lynn Happens, for helping to keep the community informed. My name is Rick Starvard. I'm currently seeking my 3rd term as a member of the Lynn School Committee, a job that I really love and I have a passion for. I'm a lifelong Lynn resident. I attended and graduated from Lynn Tech. 2 years after I graduated, I started my own company, Rick's Auto Collision and Repair, company I've had now for 30 years. During 13 and a half of those 30 years, I spent going back to Tech as a full-time collision repair instructor. When I needed to leave to get back to my business after an expansion, I saw some things that were going on that concerned me regarding voc ed and the closing of some programs that concerned me. Programs that were being closed in the heart of a recession at a time when some of the most difficult jobs to fill in America in the deepest part of that recession were those programs, was machine shop, engineering. By getting elected, and that's one of the things that made me run for school committee, we were able to keep the engineering program open. We reopened the machine shop program, and both of those programs are doing quite well. I've been married to my beautiful wife Lois for the past 27 years. Together we've raised two amazing daughters, both products of the Lynn school system. My 19-year-old daughter Stephanie graduated Lynn English last year. My 21-year-old daughter Jess graduated English in '09. Both college students, both doing quite well. I would like to remain on the school committee and finish doing some of the work that we've started advocating for the replacement of schools. We need to do it in an expedited way. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Stanley Watering. I don't speak the best. I don't even like the sound of my own voice. But, you know, I have a blog, Lynn School Watch, that over 3,000 postings. I've been going to all the Lynn School committee meetings the past 3.5 years. I've written all kinds of stuff in the item, and I've got about 40 pages of my autobiography on WordPress right now. I'd like to always check it out. I am very passionate about education, and I am an equal opportunity offender. I've upset a lot of people. But I am a psychology major graduate from West Virginia Wesleyan College in 1985. I'm a chemistry minor. That's what I was before my accident. It was an automobile accident in 1981. I was in a coma for 11 days. And actually, the best thing that ever happened to me, because it has given me a unique perspective on ways to look at things. And I think with a chemistry mind, when I look at these budgets, I break down things to the elemental parts. And yeah, it's not always what you think it ends up being. I decided to run for school committee because I got nothing else to do. I work full time all the time. So, yeah, I appreciate one of your 6 votes. Thank you very much.
We will now start with the question and answer portion of our forum. If the audience could just hold the applause during the questions so we can get through as many questions as possible, that would be greatly appreciated.
Have a job for us.
For the first question, we'll start with Lorraine Gateway.
Please.
The Lynn Public School System is currently a level 4 district with 12 level 3 schools and 2 level 4 schools. How much emphasis do you place on these accountability rankings as determined by the state's Department of Education? Do you believe that the number of level 3 and 4 schools within LPS is an area for concern?
Well, to be a level 4 district, you have to have just one school as a level 4, which is not good. We happen to have 2 schools that are level 4s. And I believe over the past 2 or 3 years since they have been level 4s, and I believe it's Connery and Harrington. And since they have been level 4s, they have made great strides in improving their test scores and improving their school climate. What the other schools are doing, I believe, is the wraparound. Race to the Top has a component called the wraparound zone. And that wraparound zone is trying to instruct teachers how to implement new and different strategies to help students to learn better or to learn differently. I believe that's what's going on. No one's happy to have level 3 schools. No one's happy to have anything but a level 1 and 2. And the district is working very hard to improve on that. I know myself, my personal experience is with the MCAS science test in the 8th grade, and I have been leading the people at Pickering, and I've been working my butt off, and Strands have, you can see the improvement year after year. I made my TPI. Thank you.
Forgot that we did that. So it's absolutely an area of concern. Lorraine was talking about Harrington and Connery. They are making great strides now. Because they failed, they got $1.1 million that the rest of our schools didn't get. So it's a huge area of concern because these are elementary schools. It's not our high schools that are failing, it's our elementary schools. Our kids learn to read in elementary school. We're failing our kids in their infancy. We're failing our kids, and it affects them their entire career. I've had many conversations with Cleo and other Lynn alum that they weren't prepared for college. They had to retake algebra, they had to retake English because they weren't prepared. So it's a huge concern. On the flip side, we get a lot of money to fail. If we might as well fail to get that money to restart, to start over. I wouldn't recommend it, but I feel like how else are we going to get out of this? I feel like they're doing so well because they got the money. I don't want our kids to fail, not at all. But they're going to keep failing. We have another school, there's 2 already that are level 4. We have another school that's teetering on the edge. It's a horrible thing that we're failing. We need to do more to stop the failing, especially at such a low, especially at the elementary school level. Again, those schools are doing better because they got $1.1 million. What any of our schools would do better with $1.1 million. Thank you.
Again, to reiterate what Ms. Gately and Ms. Romanello said, nobody wants to see level 4 schools. Nobody wants to see level 3 schools. But let me tell you, they're not level 3 and 4 schools for lack of effort, because our teachers go in and work their hearts out day in and day out. You know, I don't think I have to point out the challenges that they face in this system. And at the end of the day, we get compared to the Linfields of the world. Not that we should be using that as a crutch, but it is a cold hard fact. And as Mrs. Romanello pointed out, when schools do hit level 4, the money comes in. So we have seen great turnarounds in Connery and Harrington because that money came as a result of that. The money came in, class sizes went down, staff came in, more training, extended programs. You know, if we could do that in every school, we would have level 2 schools throughout the city. But the reality of the situation is the money just isn't there unless you fail. What we need to do is have kids start learning earlier. You know, you get kids that are in more affluent communities, they're starting school at 2 and 3 years old. You know, so they come into our schools, some without pre-K, they start off at kindergarten, they're already 2 years behind the 8 ball. We need to start teaching parents, so the parents are reading to their kids at night, so their kids are better prepared to come to school and learn. You can't expect these people to take these kids at 5 and make Rhodes Scholars out.
Yeah, you know, it's crazy to me that anybody could think it's okay to be level 4. You know, it's not so much the money that we have or don't have, it's money that we've got that we are misappropriating. With the Race to the Top money, where have we gotten since we got Race to the Top? We went down. You know, we used to be the best of the worst schools, but now we're not even the best. And, you know, we started on this wraparound program. They first went to Tennessee, they were thinking that was the catch me out. Then the next year they went to Colorado through Arizona, because it's Arizona's program. And we only have a year's left of funding for that program. And it's very expensive, very expensive. And when that Brace Top money goes, we're left holding the bag of these new positions that we're going to have to fill, and there's no money. There's no money. So we need to get back to the basics. I think we need to put more direct services in the classroom, get rid of a lot of administration.
I think that the system is wrong. If you are level 4, you obtain all the results. And that is the message that we are sending to our school system. Like we have 2 schools who are level 4, Harrington and Holland. So those 2 schools, they have all the resources, like all the colleges sent right now. And one of the questions that we asked the superintendent now is that, and she agreed, is in the schema for evaluation, is that all the schools who are level 3, they go on, according to the superintendent, receive the same results that we have right now in level 4 schools. So that means that we're going to have over there, after school program, we're going to have a parent who will more, be involved in the education of the children. We're going to have more specialists over there, and case managers over there, and we're going to have more other resources. So if we have the money, what the superintendent said that she agreed that all the schools who are level 3 is going to have the same resource. That means that we are going to provide better services in our school. As Enrique Esteban said, we have great teachers, but they are lack of resources. And that is the issue that we have in our school system. So parents need to be more aggressive in asking for more support, more quality of education for the children.
The staff is working, especially the teachers. They go in that classroom and they work really hard, but it is unacceptable to have level 4 schools. We really needed to put programs in earlier. It's important this election who you decide on, who is at the table. We make the policy decisions at the table, and if you can't get the votes to have the programs put in there for the children, whether it's extended day programs, whether it's Saturday programs, whether it's for kids who are exceptional in either way, whether they're great in the arts or whether they're great musically or whether they learn differently, so they're learning in a different way. These programs are only decided at the table. The superintendent will present them, and you must have 4 votes of the 7 that sit around that table. And it is a hard fight to try to get money changed from one way of spending it to another way of spending it. Yes, a budget comes before us, but the budget is a tight budget, and then we have to decide where things go. I've been frustrated over the years. I mean, Dr. Crane is here in the audience tonight, and I'd like to say that red flag comes up awfully fast.
Thank you. So I think it's unanimous. No one at this table thinks it's good that we have 2 level 4 schools in Lynn. And in fact, Lynn is not a perfect system. I do want to say, though, that Lynn is an improving system. There have been no schools in the last term that have fell into level 4. And the 2 that were in level 4, Connery and Harrington, are making great strides. The teachers there are working so hard. The parents are very involved. And I go in those schools, do walkthroughs in those schools, and the kids are really learning. So there is room to improve. We should improve, and I think the teachers, the parents, and the students are doing a great job in that respect. Scores and rankings are not the only measure. They are one measure, and if we look at the urban districts, Lynn now is at or near the top in every measure. But like I said, scores are not the only thing you need to look at. You need to go into a school, get a feeling for the school, and see, are the kids able to learn? Are the teachers able to teach? We have a total of 26 schools in Lynn. If you walk through them, I think you'll find gaps going on. So we need to keep improving, and like Rick Starbard, I think one of the areas that we can focus on is early childhood education. Cleo's blog the other day, some of us responded to a questionnaire, and I said as a long-term goal, universal pre-K would help this district out hugely. In the interim, I mentioned to you that we have Lynn Tech open at night. We're doing parent-child reading classes. I work with John Ford and with Counselor Pete Capano, who's here, on that. So we need to keep working at it and keep getting better here in Lynn. Thank you.
For our next question, we'll start with Maria Carrasco. There's been a lot of discussion of the challenges that students from immigrant families, particularly those with limited English proficiency, bring to the Lynn Public Schools. In your view, what are the strengths and assets that these same students and their families bring as well?
I think it was the right person.
Yes.
Well, you know, Lynn is a city that we always say that, that is why we said that we have great teachers. Because when teachers have the right results, it doesn't matter if you don't speak, the kids don't speak the language. Look at Connolly. Dr. Connolly is full of immigrant students, and still they succeed. They are almost level 1 right now. So that means because they have the results. I don't see many different. My niece, who was here, and it was a teacher, came here as an immigrant, and she was a teacher, and she's working for the school department. My children, they grew up here. One was born here, but it's not about immigrant. It's about the results that we have in our school. And I don't believe kids absorb everything. They are so great and absorb. We need just the right direction for the kids. And we need teachers to have the right resources for those students. It doesn't matter what student, we talk about immigrant, they give it to me. How about Madrid? How about Italian? How about the Russian? How about, it's about that city. It's not about just Latino students. It's about immigrant students in general. It's about students in period. I think that we just need the right resource so they can be teachers.
Actually, I think that's the best part of our whole school system, is how diverse it is. That was the best thing when my kids were in school. They were able to go over other kids' homes, learn different things. We travel all over the world to find something like that. It's sitting right here in our own city. Our kids are, if you look at the graduation rates and you see these kids that are graduating, our valedictorians, are, immigrants that have come from someplace, and some of them are first generation. They came themselves. So I think that the teachers we have, if they are struggling, there's too many in the class, as it starts out, and English is a second language, and they need help, then we should be there to give the support. We should be funding that and helping the teachers. Not look at somebody and say, oh, your class didn't make it. No. Teachers should be able to say, 16 out of my 28 are English as a second language. I need somebody for a little bit of help. But I think it's the best part of our system. The problem I do have is that we're not hiring enough minority teachers to match the student population.
Thank you. Again, sounds like a lot of agreement at the table, but one of the great strengths of Lynn is its diversity. And one of the strengths of the Lynn school system, or several of the strengths of the Lynn school system, are its teachers, its family, and its educators, many of whom come from very diverse backgrounds. Going to school at in the schools in Lynn here, you would pick up different languages. There'd be several languages, not just spoken in your building, but spoken in your classroom. If you go to a friend's house, you might learn about their culture's food or their culture's art, or you might pick up, again, some of their language. So it's one of the great strengths we have in Lynn here. We have a very big district with almost 15,000 students, and I think we should be proud of what those 15,000 students do and the accomplishments not only of them, but their families and their educators.
Well, you're not going to believe this, but I just had to take the retail course for immigration students or ELL students. And I learned an awful lot during that class, but what I found out was that my students that are ELL, or former English language learners, once I figure out their intelligence, because there's a thing called Howard Gardner's theory of multiple intelligences, once I figure out where they stand in a classroom, I'm able to help them to learn the subject, and I'm glad to report that a lot of them improved greatly over the year. I just love the diversity in the city. I can't tell you how many students have come up to me and said, "Thank you, Ms. Gately. You are the reason why I'm taking biochemistry this year at this college, or I'm doing this at that college." And they're so grateful, they're so kind. I love our school system because we embrace them. We make sure that we train our teachers so that we know how to teach every single individual in our classroom. And I hope I answered that question, but it's wonderful having this many immigration or many ELL students in my class. Thank you.
So I actually had the pleasure of working with a family who had just immigrated here from South America. And within 2 months, the daughter had learned English, and within a year, the mom was working on learning English and becoming an American citizen. The American citizen test is really hard, and you have to take it in English. You can't take it in your foreign language. Our population of immigrants is some of the hardest working people in our city. They work incredibly hard, and they came here for a better life. They came here to give their kids the education that they couldn't get wherever they were coming from. I think that we need to continue to support those efforts. I think we need to embrace that immigration community. I took a tour with Dr. Crean one night of her ESL program at night. I was amazed by it. She was able to eliminate one teaching position, and she used that money to fund her entire ESL program. Not only did she fund that program and hire the people to teach a second language, but she also funded daycare. So all of these hardworking families could bring their kids at night, access the English second language program without having to pay for daycare. It was an amazing program. And I think Dr. Quinn knows that, and I think her retiring, I hope that program continues. But our immigrant population is our population. They are the majority. And I think embracing them and encouraging them to become citizens and to work and to learn English and to contribute to our city is one of the answers of our city. Thank you.
One of the things I tell everybody outside the city is, and I also told my kids this as they were going through school, you are getting an education and diversity that you can't pay for. It puts them leaps and bounds ahead of the kids that are in the suburbs, especially when it comes time to go to college. And my oldest, she started off in a school in Manhattan, and to the fear that you have dropping your kid in the middle of Manhattan, but I knew she was in the real world because she grew up in the real world. That being said, it's a struggle in our schools, and kids do pick up the language faster than adults. But as I said earlier, we need to have kids prepared to learn. I would be more in favor of having programs for immigrant kids to focus on English before we focus on anything. Because when we put kids that just come into this country, I don't care what language they speak, they just come into this country, we put them in a classroom with English-speaking kids, an English-speaking teacher, that class is slowed down to accommodate that student. If that kid knew English or had a better grasp of the language going into that class, they could hit the ground running and be that far ahead. My wife worked at Druitt's this year in a kindergarten class and told me how they had a kid, a girl spoke Swahili. Couldn't speak any English in the beginning of the year, but by the end of the year, she was speaking it quite well. They will learn it, but we need to focus on English first.
Like Mrs. Kraska, I too came from another country. I immigrated here from West Virginia. There is a whole nother country, a whole nother way of life. But, you know, over the years, I have found the best way to overcome obstacles is to embrace them. You know, we should be thrilled, like Rick said, you know, his kids got an education they can't pay for, couldn't have paid for. You know, it's the difference is meaning energy. And energy is what we need in our schools. And you know, a lot of what he said, you know, is good. We need to make sure these kids know how to speak English so that they don't slow down the other kids. But, you know, we should be very thankful that we've got such a diverse population.